Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, 3 Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading 3 Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm so excited to be joined in the studio today by Kristy Halvorsen. Kristy is a nomadic world traveller, transformative coach, writer, speaker, and creator of Coddiwomple. I hope I've said that correctly. In 2017, Kristy, a former firefighter and paramedic, sold almost all of her stuff, and in her beautiful home on wheels, she set out to explore the wider world. Through a deeper understanding of how our minds work, and actually diving in and living what she coaches, Kristy's life became surreal. Her work became effortless, and the unimaginable became commonplace. Welcome, Kristy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've got to get straight to it. What is Coddiwomple? If I said that correctly?
You have said it correctly. You don't waste any time either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You know, Coddiwomple has changed over the last 2 years of what it means to me. Mm-hmm. But it really is just living in the moment and living by instinct. And that's the simplest way to put it. Mm-hmm. I've defined it, hoping one day when Webster's and Oxford's and the dictionary folk will define it as well. So it has 3 definitions. 1 is to travel purposely towards an unknown destination. 2 is to unpredicted journey. And 3 is to be open to limitless possibilities.
Wow.
But yeah, it's living in the present and not trying to predict what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, but really just living by instinct.
Wow, I love that. Now, did you make up that word?
No, I didn't. You know, and I remember the first time I saw the word. It was in 2016 in January. I was in Texas, and a friend put a Facebook post with the word Coddiwomple on it. And it was referring to traveling and not knowing where you're going while you're traveling. And to me, that's how it all started. Mm-hmm. It was, go travel, go on vacation or holiday and not know where you're going to end up.
Wow.
And that's where it began. But as I Coddiwompled, traveling, yeah. I saw more and more how it's not about traveling, it's about every part of life. Yeah. And that's when things really began to shift.
Oh, I love that. That's so exciting. Well, now I've clarified what Coddiwompling is. Let's go back to. So tell me a little bit about, I know you were a firefighter and a paramedic, mm-hmm. and then you were a coach, but you weren't a 3 Principles coach at that time when you first started coaching. Is that right?
Right, that's right.
Yeah. So tell us a bit how that transformation happened.
Yeah, well, I don't even know why I wanted to be a coach. I had never been coached before, and I just had this pull to be a coach. Mm. So I hired one just to see what it'd be like, because I thought it'd be best to get a coach before I learned to be one. And
sensible.
Yeah. And then I just, searched for, ICF certified, International Coach Federation certified schools. Mm-hmm. And I went to a school out of Vancouver and, learned to be the coach the traditional way. And it was great. And I started my business part-time. As firefighters, you have some free time. Mm-hmm. And I did that for a couple years. And then my coach, I don't know why, but just said, hey, I read this book, you should read it too. And it was Inside Out Revolution. Wow. And I read the book, and I don't usually read a book quickly, and I read it over 2 days. And then the next day, I had kind of a big realization about life. Mm-hmm. and it really shifted everything. And I still wasn't aware of, quote, the 3 Principles and all that. Yeah. And that was in August of 16. And later in the year, like November, December, I think I just Googled Michael Neal because his name was on the cover. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of got in and slowly just got to know more people and did Super Coach Academy and met more people there, and then the apprenticeship and with Michael, and slowly but surely I worked my way in.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Yeah. Now I love on your website you compare what a traditional coach is to what you now do. So just for our listeners, I'd love if you could give that comparison there.
Sure. And often I write better than I speak, so it might be better online. But
you do write great, I do have to say.
But I saw that because I was coached by traditional coaches, and because I initially was a traditional coach, and then the shift in my coaching happened because I saw the impact. And so I tried to describe that on my website just so people know. And the best way I can describe it is, traditional coaches, they're great. I was one, and I've been helped by a few. And you come to them with goals or dreams or limiting beliefs or something you want different in your life. And the coach helps you do that, whatever it is you want to do. And you're usually focused on a specific thing. And that thing might happen or it might not happen. And to me, coaching it helps you live better and do more than you can maybe by yourself, right? So the traditional coach can help with that.
Yeah.
But say I went to a coach to work on my business would probably change, but my relationships and my home life and every other part of life probably won't. And that's the difference, is because in traditional coaching, you come for a reason, and hopefully that's what you get in best case scenario. And in this type of coaching, from the inside out understanding, you can go and get a coach because, say, you want to climb the career ladder, and then suddenly your marriage and every other part of life changes. And that's what I saw. It's full transformation. And that's why I tell my clients is, it doesn't matter why you hired me. You can get coached on anything you wish, because I can literally coach you on cleaning the garage. And because of the way we do this and the conversations we have and what I'm pointing towards and what we're exploring through the coaching, just by coaching you on how to do something like cleaning your garage, you might see something deep about life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So when did you actually decide to go off on this big worldwide venture that you're doing? Well, explain it, because it's fascinating to me. I think there's a part of me that just wishes I could do the same, quite honestly.
Yeah, it was a dream I had that I thought I would do when I retired from the fire department. And I was set to retire at 52. And in my mid-30s, I said, I don't want to wait till I'm 52. So I made this big plan in 2015, in the summer of 2015, to retire from the fire department early and head off and travel full-time by the end of 2020. And I made this massive plan that took up an entire wall of one of the rooms in my house, with every month and the things that need to happen, and everything was planned out.
Clearly this was before the principles.
Yes, it was well before the principles. And I noticed once I started seeing things different, I stopped looking at that big map on the wall. And it was incredible, because things that I thought would happen years and years down the road started happening very quickly. And in fact, I struggled with it. Like one instance is, I knew I needed to eventually buy a large truck to pull the trailer, and I thought that would happen in like 2019 or so. This is back in 15. And the truck came along way too soon. Like in 16, here's the truck. It arrived. It was just a great opportunity. But I almost didn't buy the truck, because I said, it's not time yet. That wasn't supposed to happen for at least another 2 years. But thankfully, I kind of already had the beginnings of this understanding, and I started just going with the flow. And what I thought would be almost impossible in 5 years ended up happening in 2. So by August, September of 2017, I had the truck, I had the trailer, and I actually had a big life event happen that kind of pushed me out the door. And by November of 17, I'd sold my house, sold almost everything I owned, and pulled off into the great unknown with my truck and trailer in tow, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
Well, we say truck and trailer, and you need to see the photograph of it. It's
Yes.
absolutely stunning. And
It is pretty.
you amaze me. I mean, I know when we were up in Salt Spring Island, and you said, come over to the camp, and it was, talk about home away from home. You have got everything there. We had whipped up an amazing meal, and just stunning. So,
Yeah.
wow. And tell us some of the places you've gone in this.
Well, in the trailer, you see, initially, that's another thing is I started unpredicting because my prediction was I'd travel North America in my trailer, right? And so I left Florida and headed west. And so I've been across the west, the southern portion, up to California and then north. I haven't hit any of the central states. But what happened is I got to Albuquerque and I stored my trailer for a month. And realized, oh my gosh, I have a whole nother set of freedom that I didn't realize. And that's, my house consists of a truck and a trailer, and there's storage facilities where you can store them anywhere. And then I can grab a backpack and travel the world. So that was March of 18 when I realized that. And since then, numerous times I've thrown my truck and trailer in storage, and one time for 7 months, and lived out of a backpack and traveled the world. And So I've been to Europe, I think 3 times, and done a lot of Eastern and Western Europe, Brazil, Greece, and Canada, Mexico.
Yeah.
I've been quite a number of places, and without my home on wheels.
That, you know what I'm hearing? It's so funny. Most people would think that just having that whole wall of the plan of how to sort of like break out of the traditional way of living and explore this whole, and then from that you even like sort of broke that down, and then you just, you know, things unfolded even faster. And then when you're in that, it's still like, and I still don't have to live within the confines of this is how I live now. I can store it and just you know, get on a plane, backpack. I love it because it's not, it's living a life that's not planned out. It's just following that golden thread of whatever's right in front of you in the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you manage to coach from while you're doing all of this as well.
Yes, you know, I feel like I live a normal life. You know, I feel like it's pretty ordinary, but I just happen to not have a specific location that I go back to, right? So just like everybody, I have downtime, you know, and I have a little Wi-Fi puck, and as long as I have cell phone service, I have internet service, and so I coach from where I'm at. And what's fun is I get to integrate. I'm not saying it. Integrate. Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's me usually. Thank you for doing it on the show. I'm normally the one flubbing my lines.
Yes, thank you for the help with that. But yeah, I get to do that with my coaching. So just last week I was in Canada, and a client wanted to do an intensive, and I do it either on Zoom or in person. I say, you can come to me or I go to you. And she's like, I want you to come to me. And we went and we did a coaching intensive for 3 days in a yurt in the woods in Quebec. And to me, you know, a lot of people was like, oh, I have to put life on hold to go travel and do this client intensive. And my life just comes with me. You know, like I've stored my trailer. It's stored for 2 months up just outside of Le Conner. And for these 2 months, I'm traveling in a backpack, and I get to go to clients and do work just like anyone else from where I happen to be.
And I love it. You shared something else with me too, which I find fascinating, that there's this underground network of Airstream people that park your Airstream in people's driveways.
Yeah, and it's campers of all sorts.
Yeah.
It's called Boondockers Welcome. My mom actually, I didn't even know about it. My mom found it and gifted it to me for a going away present when I left Florida. And yeah, you pay a minor fee, like $65 a year or something, and then you get connected with this network of people that open their driveways and front yards, and it's free. It's just a community. So you go online, you make a reservation, and you park in someone's driveway for a few days, and it's really cool. I've met a lot of awesome people.
I was just about to say that, because that's what's so, I think a lot of people might have the impression that, you know, driving a truck and your, you know, beautiful Airstream on the back could be quite lonely, but I mean, on the contrary, I think you've said that you've had some of the most incredible experiences and met some amazing people.
I have.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. I say in the last 2 years, I have more deep friendships, and just in the last 2 years than I had the previous 38, because I've just met so many people. And plus, I think I was really closed off before. I didn't understand how everything worked. And now I'm just more open and more loving, for sure. So yeah, I meet people. I've kept great friends from that Boondockers Welcome sites, just living in people's driveways, and then just meeting people from all over the world, wherever I happen to go. It's been quite the journey.
I'm sure that people like sort of you meet as well. They want to hear all about how you went off on that, you know, journey so young and on your own. So I'm sure you're doing some coaching on the way as well.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
So tell me a bit about what you offer. I know in your coaching you do one-on-one coaching, so you do that via Zoom.
Yes.
And then you do intensives.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I found since last June of 18, I've started every client off with an intensive. I can see the power of that, and you know, just the depth that you can go with someone in a matter of days. So yeah, all my clients start with an intensive, and I usually coach them for at least 6 months, sometimes a little more.
Yeah.
And then I also run a group program. It's called Coddiwomple now, and I run them every few months. And I have one going right now. We just had a session today. We're halfway through. It's a 10-week program, but that's kind of my love project, I guess. It's just something I love to do. It's very inexpensive, and I keep the group small, and it's just introducing people to living like this, not living in a trailer and traveling the world.
Yeah.
You can do it from right where you are, but just kind of getting more freedom and seeing life a bit differently, and seeing that you can really unpredict your journey. And in fact, when you do so, magic happens.
Yeah, I know. I think we, in this culture, we keep, overvaluing the sort of the brain,
Right.
what we can plan and strategize and plot and things like that, and we're not giving enough, like, breadth of what comes through us, what the direction, the wisdom that's guiding us at all times. We talked about this earlier. That's always
Right.
with you. It's what we're made of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even just on what we talked about earlier, that's what I find is, so most people in this conversation understand wisdom in mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then so many think it's something that they have to wait for or get a message from, And I think that's one of the big things in the Coddiwomple Now program. I don't use these words. I don't say mind, consciousness, thought, and wisdom in those programs. We talk about it in real life language, but really, like the Coddiwomple Now program, it's just getting a group of people together to explore and see how it really is inside you. You can live by your heart or your gut or your instinct, whatever you want to call that. But you can live by that. And in fact, when you do, it's pretty unbelievable.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. And it's so true. I mean, sometimes I think, I wish we hadn't called it the 3 principles. Everybody's like, okay, what are these 3 rules to live by? They think it's going to be like the 4 agreements, but 1 less. So
Right.
no, it's not that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, I have some people come to me just because they want coaching on that. But the people that don't even know the principles exist, by the time we're done, they deeply understand the principles, but they might not even know the 3 words.
So give me your sort of classic client that would come to you.
It's funny because I don't really
Broad
have a
spectrum.
classic client. Yeah.
So it's not the people that want to have wanderlust and go off into the nature or
No.
into the wild.
Yeah, it's funny because I have, like, the client I just went to Canada for. I mean, she loves nature, but the coaching wasn't on that. It was about business and life mostly. So I've coached everything from people that executives wanting to climb up the ladder, to single moms, to firefighters, to business owners, to retirees. When I lived in Florida, you seem to attract people that are around, right?
Yeah,
And in
exactly.
Florida, it's mostly retirees. So when I was in Florida, I coached a lot of retirees, either people about to retire that felt like they couldn't, or people already retired that just wanted more in retirement. So, but yeah, there's a broad spectrum. I wouldn't say this is my client.
Yeah. Oh, you touched on a group of people though. I mean, firefighters, that's, I would imagine, a huge, you can relate to them, they can relate to you rather.
Right.
And I could imagine the principles would be very helpful, or the understanding rather,
Right.
for that type of job and stress and...
And it's amazing, the firefighters don't know it, but they know the principles well.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the job, people don't realize in firefighting, you're pretty much the jack of all trades. If there's an emergency, you're expected to go and make it better. And we are trained in everything from, as paramedics, to fires, to car accidents, how to tear apart a car and rescue somebody from a car, to natural gas, to even Africanized bees. Like in Florida, we have outfits we put on and we go into, bee situations.
Wow. Yeah.
But you name it. We've seen some crazy things. Sometimes you pull up on the scene of an emergency and you're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Like, we should call somebody, But as a firefighter, you just know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So you get there and you have a team, and not to say most of the time, a lot of the time you know what you're up to. But there's a lot of the time where you pull up, especially severe car accidents, where you're just like, I have never seen this before. I wonder how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But there's a knowing that you will. And we always figure it out.
I love that, and it's so true because we say the principles like it's something that we can give you or teach you, but it's not. It's something that's always operating.
Right.
It's within all of us. It's just basically we're pointing out how the system works, how the human system works, but it's always there. But I could imagine that out of any profession, that being a firefighter, you would have to literally, and I would imagine the police force too, first responders have to really, really rely on that inner guidance and that wisdom. It's definitely not something you can figure out in your head.
The instinct.
Yeah.
And they actually, I remember as a new firefighter, they teach you that, because we do run into burning buildings, when people are running out. And sometimes you get too complacent and you start running into burning buildings that you maybe shouldn't run into.
Yeah.
And I remember as a new firefighter, they always taught, hey, if you're ever in a building and you get this feeling that you should go.
Wow.
And you can't describe it. You just suddenly have this sense like we should be doing something different.
Yeah.
So they teach that in firefighting.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
brilliant.
but I've coached several firefighters, and I think they get this because of our job, we have to be open to figuring things out when we don't know what to do, and trusting our sixth sense, you know. So
Do you ever miss it?
You know, I really haven't.
Yeah.
And it was shocking because, you know, the other part of the story that most people don't realize is I was an engineer. You know, I have a master's in mechanical engineering, and I couldn't stand the cubicle because I was working 8 to 5, and I felt like I was in prison, and I couldn't wait till 5 to go volunteer at the firehouse for free. And when I was 24, I realized, why am I making good money but feel like I'm in jail? And I go and do this other job for free. So I, quote, retired from engineering at 24 and became a firefighter.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the question now.
Well, I was asking if you ever missed it.
Oh, yeah. So when I went to firefighting, it was as if I was getting paid to go to summer camp. I was so in love with the career. Really, really in love. And I thought, man, it's going to stink when they yank me off this truck. You know, when I'm old and gray, I never want to leave. But when I found coaching, the same thing happened as when I was an engineer. And that's when I knew it was time to go full time, because I had the same pull that I love firefighting, but there was just something special. But I was still very fearful that I would leave and regret it and miss it. But I miss my friends, but I've never once missed actually firefighting, you know. Like, it was just something I did that was amazing. And I swear, I used to say it was the best career, and I now have to say it's one of the best.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. But I mean, it sounds, I mean, right there and then you listen to your wisdom. You listen to that voice saying, you know, that living in the cubicle in the box was not for you.
Right.
And then you also listened when there was another transition ready for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And I'll say that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that decision I made when I was 24 to leave engineering, nobody thought that was a good idea. Like, I was the only one. Like, my professors, my bosses, my parents, my friends, everybody is like, are you nuts? You're young, you just graduated, you have a great job that pays well. Why would you do that? Because I took a 2/3 pay cut to go be a firefighter. And I was just like, I need to, I have to. There's something inside of me that says this is it. And I always called it following my heart. And that's kind of been my story, like my testimony, is you must follow your heart. And I think that's why this understanding resonated so much for me, because I always said that was the single most important decision I ever made, was to go to firefighting, not because of the firefighting, but because in that I saw how important it is to really follow your heart. And then all of a sudden, other people are telling me this is normal and we all can do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what I've kind of known since I was 24, like there's other people that see this, and let's go tell everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is in the Three Principles community, but like you say, you know, in traditional or out there Western, you know, the way we're brought up, it's like, you know, you've invested in your college career, you haven't given it a chance, and the security, and you know, and I love what Sid says. It's like all we're looking for is peace and happiness.
Right.
And you know, we're taught here that it comes through, you know, the right job and enough money in the bank, and you know, the way it looks on the outside. And it doesn't matter how you feel. Show up anyway. Right. And just do it. So yeah, I love that. So tell me a bit more. Where are you going from here?
From here, like literally?
Yes. No, not quite. You're going in my car. We're taking you to Topanga. No, but where's your next venture? I know that you're working with Michael Neal, and I know you've got some things coming up. So what's in the future? Yeah,
I'm just here helping him this week. And so actually Thursday night I'm flying to Florida, and I'm going to go to South Florida, where I lived previously, and see some friends and some clients, and then go up to North Florida and visit my parents and brother. And that'll take me through the end of October, and then I'm going to fly back to Seattle. And like I said, my trailer's stored just outside of LaConner. And go back there, reunite with, her name's Kadhi, my trailer, short for Coddiwomple.
Oh, that's sweet.
So reunite with my truck and trailer, and then head south for the winter.
Oh, wow.
I'm like a bird, you know. I don't, I take advantage of the mobile nature of life, and so I try to stay where the good weather is.
No, I mean, that's what we do, though. We're supposed to head south in the summer. The birds do, and things like that. And retirees from New York.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
Right.
So, do you have any workshops or anything coming up like that? Or you said that you just started a new. Describe that Coddiwomple group. You say you keep it small. How long does it run for?
It runs for 10 weeks, and well, that's what it has run for. But we can Coddiwomple. We can but I've
make the rules up as you go along.
Right, exactly. But I find that 10 weeks is a good amount. We meet on Zoom once a week for an hour, and I try to keep the size somewhere between 8 and 12 or 14. Just keep it intimate, and it's one of those Zoom calls that everybody's unmuted and. It's as if we're all in a room hanging out together. And we really just have a great conversation. And it's kind of group led with the sole purpose of seeing more about this.
Yeah.
And so I have one going right now, and usually I'll put the word out and start a new one. So it's funny because my group just asked me today, when are you running the next? And I'm like, I hadn't planned to do one until January, but if I have enough interest, maybe we'll start one in November.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
And you also do blogs. You are an amazing writer. I've read a lot of what you've written. It's beautiful, and especially when you're on your travels and what you see along that journey. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, we are actually coming to the end of our time, believe it or not.
Right.
So I can't thank you enough. It's really lovely. I know you're so busy. You just flew in from Canada, so I'm really grateful that you managed to come into the studio.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This is really fun.
Yeah,
I love what you're doing here.
Oh, and I need your T-shirts,
yes.
please. We have Coddiwomple.
Can you see that?
Yes,
There.
Wompling T-shirts. So go on your website. Give us the website.
Right. So where my blog is in my coaching website is YouRevolution. So YouRevolution.com. And my Coddiwomple stuff, you can buy shirts and see more stories about Coddiwompling is Coddiwomplenow.com. And hopefully you'll put that on the screen for everyone to see.
Yeah, we will.
And I'm actually planning to combine the two and have a KristyHalvorsen.com soon so we can find everything in one spot.
One place.
But for now, we've got 2 spots.
Okay, well, great. I love it. And I have one of your T-shirts. It's beautiful. I love them.
Yeah, thank you.
Get a lot of people asking, what is that?
Yes, unpredict your journey, right?
Yeah, I love it. Great message for everybody. All right, well, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.